The Darien Gap is one of the most, if not the most dangerous place on planet Earth. It is lawless. It is not only dangerous in the sense of criminals and horrific incidences that occur inside this jungle pathway, but there's all kinds of animal life and disease that we are not accustomed to that can actually, especially for children that are traveling through the gap, that could actually present deadly consequences. And this has happened, correct, Congressman? What was it like? First of all, your first impressions, and how did you get there? Were you on a canoe? Did you get in a boat? I mean, I want to hear all about each step of the way to get towards the Darien Gap because I actually plan on going. I wish I could have been with you on that journey. I just got back from Guatemala, but I want to hear how the journey proceeded for you. You get to, Panama City. What happens?
Yeah, we took a couple vans down to a village called Metati, and that's where we stayed in a motel there for a couple nights. And so we kind of staged out of there. And it was from there, we took a 4-hour canoe trip. And truly a canoe, about a 25 foot canoe that was just a dugout from probably a balsa tree. And they've got a little 15-horse outboard on it. It took us 4 hours to get from Metati up the Turquesa River to the village of Bajo Chiquito. And Bajo Chiquito is one of the primary places where the migrants come out of the Darien Gap and they come into that village. The thing that we noticed, at least I noticed, when I first got out of that canoe into Bajo Chiquito was the overwhelming stench. And it was not because of the local people not being clean. There's about 500 wonderful souls that live in that village of Bajo Chiquito, but they have as many as 1,000 people a day that will go through that village, and that's the first place they stop after they get to the Darien Gap. I mean, when they came through the Darien Gap, we saw people coming out of the jungle. They had trench foot. Some people looked like they were about to get gangrene. I saw a woman being wheelbarrowed into a medical facility. One of our guys that was along with us, he had to piggyback a guy who could not walk anymore into that medical tent that was there. A sole doctor was there from Doctors Without Borders. So they come out and they're just a mess. But what we heard from the villagers is that they would oftentimes see people, infants, children, floating down the river dead. And it's because that 7 to 10 day journey through the Darien Gap in what you so accurately described as one of the most inhospitable places on earth, disease, insects, snakes, and of course you have the smugglers. It's a lawless place, right, between Colombia and Panama. And so there is so much death that goes on. I've seen estimates now by Michael Yan that it could be as high as 1 in 7 migrants die going through the Darien Gap or making the journey in that pipeline all the way from the Darien Gap up to the United States. But it seems pretty clear it's at least 10% are dying. And why is this happening, Sarah? That's the thing. Why is it happening? January 20th.